You built their future with your bare hands, and they erased your name like you never existed. Tell me, what do you do when your own son calls you a burden on Thanksgiving? My daughter-in-law posted my house online, calling it their dream home. The same house I gifted them after 32 years of wiping tears, holding hands through night shifts as a nurse. They didn't mention me, not even once. I was invisible to them, until I opened a drawer and found the deed. It had a clause I'd forgotten, one that gave me the legal right to take everything back the moment they disrespected me. If you've ever felt erased by the very people you raised, stay with me. I'll show you how I reclaimed my home, found my voice again, and gave that house to someone who truly understood what love and respect meant. My son tore my photo album to shreds in front of neighbors, but the law and my granddaughter's handwritten note helped me rise from that floor and plant roses in that yard again. Don't wait until your silence becomes your erasure, if they're rewriting your story without you. It's time you wrote the ending yourself. Before I take you deeper into what really happened, I'd love to know, where are you from and how are you feeling today? Leave a comment below, even just a word. I read everyone. It might seem small, but your voice matters here. Let's take this story step by step together. I swiped through Instagram expecting a family photo, but Elise's post called my house our dream. Did I ever mean anything to them? The apple pie's warm cinnamon scent curled through my condo, wrapping around me like a hug I hadn't felt in years. It was November 2024, and the suburban street outside my window glowed with early Christmas lights, twinkling against the dusk. I sat at my kitchen table, the one I'd bought secondhand when I moved here, my phone's cold blue light clashing with the cozy glow of my lamp. I'd bake that pie for Derek's Thanksgiving tomorrow, hoping it'd spark some memory of the boy who used to beg for seconds. But now, staring at my screen, my thumb froze. Elise, my daughter-in-law, had posted a photo of the house, my house, the one I'd gifted them for their wedding. The caption read, "Built our dream home from scratch. Blessed." My heart sank, heavy as the cast iron skillet cooling on the counter. "They wrote me out," I whispered, my voice catching in the quiet. Years ago, I'd signed the deed for that house, my hands trembling with pride. The lawyer's voice echoed in my mind. "You sure about this clause, Renee?" I'd nodded, never thinking I'd need it. That house was my victory, paid for with night shifts at the hospital, cleaning bedpans and soothing patients, while my own dreams faded. I'd raised Derek and Alicia alone, after Walter buried himself in his job at the factory. I worked doubles to fund Derek's college, scrimped to pay for Alicia's piano lessons. I missed her 16th birthday, stuck at the hospital, and her silence afterward cut deep. Now, Elise's post erased those years, like my sweat and tears never built those walls. I rubbed my chest, the ache spreading. Love shouldn't feel like theft, I thought, but here I was, robbed. I shuffled to the living room where Walter sat, his newspaper crinkling, glasses perched on his nose. His gray hair caught the lamplight, and for a moment I saw the man who'd promised me forever before his career swallowed him. "Walter," I said, holding out my phone, my voice tight. "Look at this." He glanced up, frowning, and took the phone. Elise's post stared back, all polished smiles and lies. "They're saying they built the house," I said, my fingers twisting the hem of my sweater. "I gave it to them. Me." Walter's eyes flicked over the screen, then back to his paper. "Kids move on, Renee," he muttered, turning a page. "Don't take it personal." I snatched the phone back, my throat burning. "Personal," I snapped. "I gave them everything, my nights, my health, my dreams." I clutched a framed photo of Derek from the mantel, his boyish grin frozen at 10, back when he'd hug me after school. "This isn't moving on," I said, softer now. "This is erasing me." I sank onto the couch, the photo cool against my palms. Walter's newspaper rustled, but he didn't look up. His silence stung, a reminder of the years he'd left me to raise the kids alone, chasing promotions while I patched our family together. Alicia's absence weighed heavier. She hadn't called in months, not since our last tense talk about her missed birthday. I'd worked that day to close on the house, but she never forgave me. Now Derek, my boy who'd promised to buy me a garden one day, let Elise wipe my name from their story. I'm invisible to them now, I thought, the words slicing deep. The pie's scent turned cloying, mocking my hope for tomorrow's gathering. I stood, needing to move, and wandered to the kitchen. My hands, rough from years of hospital work, brushed the counter, pausing at a drawer stuffed with old recipes. I tugged it open, searching for distraction, and my fingers grazed a yellowed envelope, tucked behind faded index cards. I pulled it out, my breath catching. Deed, it read, in my lawyer's neat script. My pulse quickened, memories of that signing day flooding back, the clause, the safety net I'd laughed off. I held the envelope, its weight grounding me, like a whisper of power I'd forgotten. Could this be something? I wondered, but pushed the thought away, too raw to hope. The pie sat on the counter, its crust golden, perfect. I'd baked it for Derek, for the family I thought we were. But Elise's post, Walter's shrug, Alicia's silence, they all screamed the same truth. I was fading from their lives. I set the envelope down, my fingers trembling. Love is patient, I told myself, but patience shouldn't mean disappearing. I glanced at the photo of Derek, his smile a ghost of the boy I raised. Did they ever love me, or just what I gave? The question hung unanswered as my phone buzzed on the table. I picked it up, the screen lighting my face. A text from Betty, my neighbor across the street, popped up. "You coming to Derek's Thanksgiving? Elise has got big plans." My stomach twisted, the words landing like a stone. Big plans, I thought, and I'm not even in the picture. I typed a quick reply, my fingers stiff, and set the phone down, the deed envelope catching my eye again. Tomorrow I'd go to that gathering, pie in hand, hoping for a spark of the family we used to be. But deep down, I knew something had to change. I walked into Derek's Thanksgiving with hope, but left with shame. How do you love a son who shuts you out? The scent of roasted turkey drifted through Derek and Elise's house, my old home, as I stepped inside that Thanksgiving evening. The suburban neighborhood outside buzzed with holiday cheer, porch lights casting a warm glow, but the air felt sharp, like a warning. I cradled my apple pie, its crust still warm, my hands steady despite the knot in my chest. That deed envelope I'd found last night lingered in my mind, a quiet promise I wasn't ready to trust. I'd poured my life into this house, every brick paid with my nurse's wages, every wall a shield for my kids. Now it was theirs, but I hoped tonight would stitch us back together. Elise greeted me at the door, her smile tight, like a business card handed out of obligation. Her manicured nails gleamed under the chandelier, and her silk dress swished as she stepped aside. "Renee, you made it," she said, her voice smooth but cold. I nodded, forcing a smile, and scanned the crowded living room. Neighbors and friends chatted, glasses clinking, laughter rising over a soft Motown playlist. Then Maya, my granddaughter, darted through the crowd, her braids bouncing. She threw her arms around me, her warmth melting my nerves. "I miss your stories, Grandma," she whispered, her brown eyes bright. I squeezed her back, my heart lifting. "I've got a new one for you, sweet girl," I murmured, setting the pie on a table laden with casseroles and yams. I caught Derek's eye across the room, his suit crisp, his jaw tight. He was my boy, but the man staring back felt like a stranger. I started toward him, pie in hand, but Elise's voice cut through. "Oh, Renee, you didn't have to bring anything," she said, loud enough for heads to turn. Her smile didn't reach her eyes. "We've got plenty." I froze, my cheeks warming as a neighbor glanced away. "It's Derek's favorite," I said softly, but Elise waved a hand, already turning to a guest. I set the pie down, its steam fading, and felt a pang. Love shouldn't shrink you, I thought, but here I was, shrinking. The dining room hummed with chatter as we sat for dinner, the table groaning under platters of turkey and cornbread stuffing. I took a seat near Maya, her giggles a small anchor. Derek sat at the head, Elise beside him, their hands clasped like a magazine ad. I tried to catch his eye to find the boy who'd draw me gardens, but he looked through me. "Renee," Elise said, her tone sharp. "You've been quiet. Everything okay?" Her lips curved, daring me. I swallowed, my fork trembling. "Just grateful to be here," I said, my voice thin. Maya squeezed my hand under the table, her small fingers grounding me. Then it happened. I asked Derek about his job, hoping to bridge the gap. Imagine baking your son's favorite pie, only to be told you're a burden in front of everyone. If you were standing in Renee's shoes right now, what would you do next? Drop a 5 in the comments if you're still watching and feel the sting of that moment. It's about to get even harder to watch. His eyes narrowed, and he slammed his glass down, wine sloshing. "You're a burden, Mom," he snapped, his voice slicing through the room. "Always meddling in my marriage." The table fell silent, forks pausing, eyes darting. I blinked, my breath stuck. "Derek," I whispered, "I just asked." He stood, his chair scraping, and grabbed my arm, pushing me toward the door. "Enough!" he barked. Elise smirked, leaning back. "She needs boundaries," she said, her voice dripping with mock pity. Guests stared, stunned, as my son shoved me into the foyer, my shoulder brushing the wall. My pie sat untouched, its scent now sour in my nose. Outside, the cold bit my face, my coat forgotten inside. I stumbled onto the porch, wiping tears with my sleeve, the neighborhood's holiday lights blurring. Betty Washington, my neighbor, stepped out, her brow creased. "Renee, that wasn't right," she said, her voice low, her scarf fluttering in the breeze. I shook my head, my throat tight. "I gave them this house," I choked out, my hands clenching. "And they—" My voice broke. Betty touched my arm, her eyes kind but helpless. I straightened, a fire flickering inside. "I won't let them break me," I murmured, my breath visible in the chill. Maya slipped through the door, her face crumpled, and pressed a folded note into my hand. "Dad's wrong about you," it read, her childish scrawl fierce. I hugged her, her warmth a lifeline, and tucked the note into my pocket. "Go back inside, sweet girl," I whispered, my voice steadying. She nodded, slipping away, and I turned toward my car, the street quiet except for the distant hum of holiday cheer. I'd come with hope, but left with something sharper. Defiance. I'm done being their doormat, I thought, my steps firm on the gravel. As I reached my car, my phone buzzed, the screen lighting up. Elise had posted again a photo of the dining table, my pie cropped out. "Some people don't respect boundaries," the caption read. My fingers tightened around the phone, Maya's note crinkling in my pocket. Was I ever their mother, or just their servant? The question burned, unanswered as I drove into the night. I faced Derek, begging for an apology, but his denial hurt worse than his push. When did my son become so cold? The clink of dishes filled Derek's house as the Thanksgiving cleanup began, the laughter of guests fading like a song I no longer knew. The air was thick with the scent of turkey and sweet yams, but it felt stale, heavy with the sting of last night's humiliation. I stood in the dining room, my hands twisting the edge of my apron, the deed envelope from my condo drawer whispering in my mind, a faint hope I couldn't yet grasp. I'd come back this morning, determined to talk to Derek, to find the boy who'd once promised me a garden. The suburban neighborhood outside buzzed with post-holiday chatter, kids riding bikes, but inside, I felt alone. Derek stacked plates at the table, his jaw tight, his suit jacket slung over a chair. A few neighbors lingered, sipping coffee, their voices low. I stepped closer, my heart pounding. "Derek," I said, my voice soft, "we need to talk about last night." He froze, his eyes narrowing, and set a plate down with a sharp clack. "What's there to talk about, Mom?" he said, loud enough for heads to turn. I swallowed, my throat dry. "You pushed me out," I said, my voice trembling. "Called me a burden. I deserve an apology." His laugh was sharp, a blade. "If your child screamed you meant nothing, after everything you gave up for them, would it break your heart or harden it? What Renee hears next might just be worse than the push. Drop a 6 in the comments if you're still here and your chest tightened too. We're about to cross into the part that still haunts her." "You did nothing for me," he shouted, slamming his hand on the table. Guests gasped, their cups pausing mid-sip. I staggered, my breath catching. "Nothing," I stammered. "I gave you this house, my nights, my health." Derek's face twisted. "You gave me guilt, Mom. That's all." The room spun, their stares burning my skin. I clutched the table, my knuckles whitening, my apple pie still untouched in the kitchen, mocked by his words. I stumbled to the living room, my mind reeling, a memory surfacing like a bruise. Years ago, I'd missed Alicia's 16th birthday, working a double shift to close on this house. She'd cried, her piano silent, and never quite forgave me. Derek, though, had soaked up my sacrifices, growing entitled, leaning on Elise's polished promises. I'd raised him with love, but he'd learned to take. His failing firm now a weight he blamed on me. I sank onto a couch, my hands shaking, the deed's promise flickering in my thoughts. Could it really hold power? I wondered, but the pain was too raw to chase. I drove home, rain tapping my condo's windows, the sound a steady drum against my thoughts. My kitchen was dark, the apple pie's scent gone, replaced by damp chill. I sat at the table, Maya's note from last night. "Dad's wrong about you," crinkled in my pocket. My phone buzzed and I opened it, hoping for Derek. Instead, Maya's text glowed. "I love you, Grandma." My eyes stung, her words a lifeline. I reached for the deed envelope on the counter, its edges worn, and gripped it tight. "I'll fight back," I said, my voice steady, anger rising where hurt had been. "You won't erase me, Derek," I thought, my resolve hardening like clay in fire. As I set the phone down, it vibrated again, a voicemail from Derek, left by mistake. I played it, my breath hitching. "Mom's out of our lives now," he told Elise, his voice cold. "She's done meddling." The words sliced, deeper than his push, his denial a public wound now sealed in private. My fingers tightened on the envelope, anger surging. I stood, pacing, and knocked a photo frame from the counter, a picture of Derek at 10, grinning with a soccer ball. As I picked it up, a folded note slipped out, tucked behind the glass. "Call Lorraine Hayes about the deed." My pulse raced, the words sharp. Did I raise him to love or to take? The question echoed, unanswered, as I stared at the note, a spark of something fierce igniting within me. Lorraine's words burned through my doubt, but fighting my son felt like losing him forever. Could I reclaim my place without breaking us? The diner buzzed with morning chatter, coffee cups clinking against saucers, and the soft hum of jazz drifting from a jukebox in the corner. The scent of fresh pancakes and sizzling bacon wrapped around me, warm but heavy, as I sat across from Lorraine in a red vinyl booth. Outside, the suburban streets sparkled with frost, a quiet contrast to the storm in my chest. I fidgeted with my napkin, the note from last night. "Call Lorraine about the deed," still tucked in my purse, its promise of a legal clause tied to respect both thrilling and terrifying. I'd come here to pour out my heart, hoping my old friend could help me see through the fog of Derek's denial. Lorraine's eyes, sharp behind her glasses, softened as I spoke, my voice low to keep the nearby waitress from overhearing. "He pushed me out, Lorraine," I said, my fingers tracing the rim of my coffee mug, called me a burden, then said I did nothing for him. My throat tightened, Derek's shout, "You did nothing for me," echoing from the Thanksgiving cleanup. And Elise's post, saying they built my house? It's like I'm a ghost in my own family. Lorraine leaned forward, her silver bracelet glinting. "Renee, I know that hurt," she said, her voice steady. After my divorce, my son cut me off for years, blamed me for everything. But you built that house with your own hands. Don't let them steal your name." Her words landed hard, her own estrangement a mirror to my pain. I nodded, my eyes stinging, but doubt clung tight. "They're my kids," I whispered. "How do I fight Derek and not lose him?" Lorraine reached into her bag, pulling out a worn leather diary, its pages yellowed. "I kept notes when I helped with your house closing," she said, flipping to a marked page. She slid it across the table, her finger tapping an entry dated years ago. "Your lawyer added a clause to the deed, Renee. If they disrespect you, the house can revert back. You've got power you forgot." I stared at the neat handwriting, my breath catching. "A clause?" I said, my voice barely audible over the jazz's saxophone wail. I thought that was just a precaution. Lorraine's smile was fierce. "It's your lifeline now." I traced the words, my heart racing, but fear gripped me. "If I fight," I said, my hands trembling, "I lose Derek for good, and Alicia, she's already so far away." Lorraine's hand covered mine. "You're not losing them, Renee. You're saving yourself." Her words sparked something, a flicker of hope amid the hurt. The waitress refilled our coffee, the pot's gurgle pulling me back. I glanced out the window where a jazz festival poster fluttered on a lamppost, its bold colors stirring a memory. I dreamed of art school once, sketching late at night while Derek and Alicia slept, but I gave it up for hospital shifts to buy that house. I'd lost enough dreams for them. The music swelled, a trumpet's cry weaving through the diner, and I felt a shift like embers catching. "I've lost enough," I murmured, my voice firmer. "It's time to fight." Lorraine's eyes gleamed and she squeezed my hand. "That's my girl," she said, her tone warm as the pancakes steaming on a nearby plate. We stood to leave, the diner's bell jingling as we stepped into the crisp air. The jazz poster caught my eye again, its promise of music and memory urging me forward. I hugged Lorraine, her coat soft against my cheek, and whispered, "I'll find that deed and take back what's mine." The words felt bold, a vow carved in the frost. Hope bloomed, fragile but real, pushing back the hurt that had clung since Elisa's post. Am I fighting for a house or for my soul? I wondered, the question sharp as I walked to my car, the note about the deed burning in my purse. My phone buzzed as I settled behind the wheel, the screen lighting up with a call from Betty. I answered, her voice crackling with urgency. "Renee, I just heard Elise at the coffee shop bragging about redecorating your house like it's hers." My grip tightened, the jazz's echo fading, replaced by a pulse of indignation. Elise's plans, Derek's denial, Alicia's silence, they were all threads in the same betrayal. I thanked Betty, my voice steady, and hung up, staring at the street ahead, ready to unravel their lies. The deed's words stared back at me, promising justice I never thought I'd claim. Was this my chance to be seen again? My condo's kitchen was a mess of papers, scattered across the table like leaves after a storm. Late night cloaked the suburban neighborhood outside, the hum of a distant train weaving through the quiet, matching the restless hope in my chest. A farmer's market flyer, bright with pictures of pumpkins and apples, lay crumpled nearby, a reminder of the community I'd once felt part of. I sat hunched over, my fingers tracing the yellowed deed envelope, the note from Lorraine's diary, "Call Lorraine about the deed," burning in my mind. That clause, tied to familial respect, could be my way out of the shadows Derek and Elise had cast me into. I opened the envelope, my breath shallow, the paper crinkling in the silence. The deed's text was dense, legal words blurring until one line leaped out. Property reverts to owner if respect is violated. A note clipped to it in my old lawyer's spiky handwriting read, "Protect yourself, Renee." My heart raced, pounding like the train's rhythm. "This changes everything," I whispered, my voice echoing off the kitchen tiles. "Derek's denial, 'You did nothing for me,' And Elise's smirk at Thanksgiving flashed through me, their disrespect a violation written in this very clause. I clutched the deed, my hands steadier now, hope blooming where hurt had festered. I'd been a nurse, a mother, a builder of their dreams. Could I now build my own justice? My eyes drifted to the wall where a faded photo of me at 45 hung, taken the day I signed this deed. I'd been vibrant then, laughing off the lawyer's caution. "Protect yourself just in case," she'd said, her pen tapping the clause. "Families change." I'd waved her off, sure Derek and Alicia would always cherish me. Back then, I'd just bought the house, my savings drained from years of night shifts, my back aching from hospital rounds. I'd thought it'd be our sanctuary, not a gift they'd turn against me. Alicia's coldness after her missed birthday, Derek's lean into Elisa's pride. They'd changed, not me. I touched the photo, my fingers lingering. "I was naive," I murmured, but strength isn't naivety undone. Its scars turned to armor. The phone's buzz snapped me back, its screen glowing in the dark. Betty Washington's name flashed, and I answered, her voice crackling with gossip. "Renee, you won't believe this," she said, her words rushed. "I was at the coffee shop and Elise was there, bragging to everyone. Said you're jealous of their home, that you've got nothing." My grip tightened on the deed, my jaw clenching. "Jealous," I said, my voice sharp. "I built that home, Betty, every brick." Betty's sigh was heavy. "I know, honey, it ain't right." I stared at the deed, Elise's boast stoking a fire in my gut. "They'll see who built that home," I said, my voice low, the words a promise. Betty paused, then added, "Folks here are talking, Renee. They're on your side." I thanked her, hanging up, the train's hum fading as my resolve grew. I stood, papers rustling, and moved to the counter, the deed note in hand. Lorraine's diary entry had led me here, her own estrangement a silent push to fight. Betty's call, her voice thick with loyalty, hinted at a community ready to back me. I'd been erased, but not by everyone. "This house is still mine," I declared, my voice ringing in the quiet, empowerment surging like a tide. I wasn't just a mother scorned. I was a woman with power, ready to reclaim my legacy. Did they think I'd stay silent forever? The question hung, fierce, as I set the deed down, my hands steady. My phone buzzed again, the screen lighting the table. A text from Alicia glowed. "Mom, I need to tell you something about Derek." My breath caught, her name a jolt after months of silence. Her remorse, hinted at by her absence, felt closer now, but what did she know? I stared at the message, the deed note beside it, the farmer's market flyer curling at the edge. The train hummed on, carrying my hope into the night, ready to face whatever truth Alicia held. Alicia's recording of Derek's cruelty hit me like a storm, but Elise's lies online hurt worse. Could the truth finally break through? The scent of grilled chicken filled my condo, cooling on the counter as evening settled over the suburban neighborhood. My phone buzzed relentlessly, Instagram notifications flashing like fireflies, each one a jab from Elise's latest post. The kitchen's warm light clashed with the tension in my chest. The deed's clause, tied to familial respect, now a growing force, hinting at a reckoning I could almost taste. I stood by the stove, my hands gripping a dish towel, the memory of that clause from last night's discovery fueling my resolve. Derek and Elise had violated respect, and I was ready to make them face it. A knock at the door startled me, sharp against the hum of crickets outside. I opened it to find Alicia, my daughter, her eyes red, her coat damp from the evening mist. "Mom," she said, her voice cracking, "I need to talk." I stepped aside, my heart lurching at her presence after months of silence. She sat at the table, her fingers twisting a scarf, and pulled out her phone. "I recorded Derek," she whispered, tears spilling. "I didn't mean to, but you need to hear it." She played the file, and Derek's voice filled the room, cold and biting. "Mom's a burden, dragging us down with her whining." I gasped. He said that. My hands shook, the chicken's savory aroma turning sour. Alicia's face crumpled. "I'm so sorry, Mom," she said. "I was wrong to pull away after my birthday. You were working for us." Her guilt, rooted in that missed 16th birthday, poured out, and I reached for her hand, my anger at Derek surging. My phone buzzed again, and I glanced at it, my stomach twisting. Elise had posted a tearful Instagram video, her voice quivering. "Renee's toxic meddling is tearing our marriage apart." The comments, though, told a different story. "Who really built that house?" one user wrote. "Sounds like Renee's the hero here," said another. I shoved the phone away, my jaw tight. "She's lying," I said, my voice low, the clause's power pulsing in my mind. Alicia nodded, wiping her eyes. "I'll help you, Mom," she said, her remorse a bridge across our distance. I squeezed her hand, anger drowning my empowerment. Elise's lies, Derek's recorded cruelty. They were stripping me bare, but I wouldn't break. Lorraine arrived soon after, her briefcase thumping on the table, her face all business. "We're drafting legal notices," she said, spreading papers next to the chicken platter. "The clause gives you the right to reclaim the house, Renee." Her loyalty, forged by her own estrangement from her son, steadied me. I nodded, my fingers tracing the notice's text, each word a step toward justice. Walter shuffled in from the living room, his newspaper forgotten, and peered at the phone, still open to Elise's video. His brow furrowed, his regret for years of distance surfacing. "Elise is lying, isn't she?" he said, his voice gruff. I met his eyes, my anger sharp. "It's time they paid," I said, my voice cutting through the room's quiet. Lorraine's pen scratched, Alicia's breath hitched, and Walter's nod was slow, a sign he was starting to see my pain. The chicken sat untouched, its warmth fading, a symbol of the family traditions I was losing. I'd grilled it hoping for a meal together, but Derek's words, dragging us down, and Elise's video mocked that hope. My anger peaked, a fire fed by their betrayal. "They can't hide the truth anymore," I said, my voice ringing. The notices before me, a weapon I was ready to wield. Alicia's recording, a micro twist of truth, had shattered any doubt. I wasn't just empowered. I was furious, ready to confront the lies that had erased me. As Lorraine packed her papers, my phone buzzed once more, the screen glowing in the dim light. Maya's text flashed. "Dad's freaking out about some papers on the door." My pulse quickened, the notices already stirring trouble. Do they fear my voice or their own lies? I wondered, the question a spark in the gathering storm. The grilled chicken scent lingered, a reminder of what I'd lost, but I stood taller, ready for the fight ahead. I watched Derek rip my photo album to pieces, erasing my life's memories. Could I still love him after this betrayal? Dusk painted the suburban neighborhood in soft golds, porch lights flickering on like cautious eyes as I stood outside Derek's house, my old house. The faint hum of a community center's potluck drifted up the street, laughter and clinking glasses a cruel backdrop to my task. I held a stack of legal notices, the paper crisp, each one a declaration of my fight, backed by the deed's clause from Chapter 6. That clause, demanding respect, was my weapon now, signaling Derek's downfall. I taped a notice to the front door, my heart thumping, the wood's familiar grain a reminder of the years I'd poured into this place. The air smelled of grilled burgers from a neighbor's yard, but my stomach churned with anger. The door flew open and Derek loomed, his tie loose, his eyes wild. "What's this, Mom?" he snarled, yanking the notice down, crumpling it in his fist. I stepped back, my breath catching, but held my ground. "It's the truth, Derek," I said, my voice steady despite the tremor in my hands. "You disrespected me, and the house is mine." His laugh was harsh, echoing across the quiet street. He stormed inside and I followed, drawn by the fire in my chest. In the living room, guests from the potluck lingered, their chatter stalling as Derek grabbed my old photo album from a shelf, my treasure of family memories, from Derek's first steps to Alicia's recitals. "You're not our story," he shouted, tearing pages, photos fluttering like broken wings. I gasped. Those were my life. My hands reached out, but he tossed the shredded album to the floor, his face twisted with pride. Guests froze, their whispers sharp, the potluck's warmth now a distant hum. Maya darted from the hallway, her eyes wide, tears streaming. "Dad, stop," she cried, but Derek turned away, his shoulders rigid. She knelt, gathering a torn photo, and slipped out, her sneakers scuffing the wood. My heart ached, Derek's cruelty a blade, but my anger hardened, steel in my veins. I knelt, picking up a ripped picture of Derek at 10, his grin faded, but mine fierce in memory. I'd raised him through hospital shifts, financial strain from his failing firm, now his excuse to erase me. Elise's influence, her need for status, had twisted him, but this was his choice. I stood, clutching the photo, the claw's power pulsing. "You can't stop me," I whispered, my voice low, resolve overtaking pain. My phone buzzed as I stepped onto the porch, the evening air cool against my flushed cheeks. Maya's text glowed. "I saved one photo for you, Grandma." My eyes stung, her loyalty a beacon in the dark. I tucked the phone away, the potluck's music, a lively fiddle tune, fading as I walked to my car. Lorraine called, her voice crisp. "The notices are filed, Renee," she said, her own estrangement fueling her support. "They can't stop you now." I nodded, though she couldn't see, my jaw set. "I'm taking back my name," I said, the words a vow carved in the dusk. Alicia's remorse, hinted by her text last night, lingered, her support a quiet strength for the fight ahead. I sat in my car, the notice's crumpled edge peeking from my purse, the album's loss a fresh wound. Derek's outburst, his hands tearing my past, was more than cruelty. It was a declaration of war. "You erased my past, but not my power," I said, my voice ringing in the quiet, resolve solidifying like the ground beneath me. The community center's lights glowed, neighbors likely whispering about Derek's fit, their unity a subtle promise. Did he destroy my memories, or just his own future? The question seared, unanswered as my phone buzzed again. Sarah, another neighbor, texted, "Found Elise's deleted Instagram story. It's bad." My grip tightened, the potluck's warmth now a distant echo. Elise's lies, Derek's destruction, they were unraveling, and I was ready to pull the threads. Elise begged on my porch, but Derek's defiance at the gathering told the truth. Could I forgive a son who broke me? Morning sunlight spilled across my condo's porch, warming the wooden boards, but the air felt charged, like a storm brewing. Neighbors' curtains twitched, their curious glances prickling my skin as I stood by the railing, my coffee mug cold in my hands. The deed's claws, my shield of maternal power, had sealed Derek and Elise's fate, its promise of justice now a fire in my chest. Last night's barbecue, with Derek's venom, "You're worthless to us," still echoed, but the online support sparked by Sarah's find made me unyielding. I was no longer just resolute, I was sovereign, ready to claim my legacy. The crunch of gravel pulled my gaze to Elise, stepping out of her sleek car, her heels clicking. Her face was pale, her usual polish frayed, but her eyes held a calculated glint. "Renee," she said, her voice syrupy, "you're ruining Derek's career with those notices." She clasped her hands, a tear glistening. Too perfect, too rehearsed. I set my mug down, my jaw tight. "You ruined my name first," I retorted, my voice cutting through the morning quiet. "You posted lies, called my house yours, laughed when he pushed me out." Elise's lips quivered, but her plea was hollow, a performance for the neighbors peeking through blinds. "Please," she said, "we can fix this." I stepped closer, my eyes locked on hers. "You fixed nothing," I said, low and fierce. "You broke it." She flinched, backing away, her heels scraping, and I turned inside, the porch's warmth now a shield. The community center potluck buzzed with life. tables groaning under fried chicken, macaroni, and sweet tea, the laughter of neighbors, a vibrant hum. I arrived, my head high, the clause's weight in my purse like a talisman. Alicia met me at the door, her eyes soft, her remorse palpable after years of distance over her missed birthday. "I'm with you, Mom," she whispered, her hand squeezing mine. Maya trailed her braids swinging, her loyalty a quiet strength. The crowd parted as I stepped forward, spotting Derek and Elise near a table, his suit rumpled, her smile forced. I raised my voice clear over the clinking forks. "They took my house and called it theirs," I said, holding up a copy of the deed. "This clause says it's mine if they disrespect me, and they did." Guests murmured, eyes wide. Derek's face reddened and he snapped, "You forced us to cut you out." His words stung, a public humiliation, but Alicia stepped forward, her voice fierce. "You hurt Mom," she said, her guilt fueling her defense. The crowd's gasps, their fried chicken forgotten, wrapped me in solidarity. Derek's defiance crumbled as Maya slipped me her phone, her small hand trembling. "I found this, Grandma," she whispered, showing an email Derek sent to Elise, admitting he knew about the clause but ignored it. My breath caught. The micro twist, a dagger of truth. I held the phone aloft, my voice steady. "You knew," I said, meeting Derek's eyes, "and still you tore my album, called me worthless." He stammered, "I'm sorry." But it was weak, hollow, swallowed by the crowd's murmurs. Elise's face paled, her phone clutched tight, but the potluck's warmth belonged to me now. Social media erupted outside, my wedding post, "Build wisely" when trending, strangers chanting my name. "I'm rewriting my story, not yours," I declared, my voice ringing, triumph surging like a tide. Alicia's reconciliation, rooted in her guilt, strengthened beside me, her arm around Maya, whose loyalty shone like a beacon. Derek and Elise's pride lay in shards, their cruelty exposed, reinforcing my maternal strength. Lorraine's support, her own estrangement a silent bond, had led me here, her legal work a backbone to my fight. I glanced at the fried chicken, its golden crust a symbol of the community unity I'd reclaimed, no longer the outsider Derek had made me. Did they break me or make me whole? The question blazed, answered by my stand, as I faced my son, unbowed. My phone buzzed as I left the center, the potluck's laughter fading. Lorraine's text glowed. "Eviction set for tomorrow, sheriff's ready." My pulse quickened. The clause's power now a reality, the community's support a chorus behind me. The sheriff cleared Derek's house, and though I wasn't there, I felt the chains break. Was this freedom? Or just the start of healing? Morning sunlight poured into my condo, warming the hardwood floors, a soft contrast to the whispers drifting through the suburban neighborhood's open windows. The scent of fresh coffee wafted from a shop down the street, grounding the quiet triumph in my chest. I sat at my kitchen table, the deeds clause, now fulfilled, lying beside a cup of tea, its steam curling like a sigh. That clause, demanding respect, had delivered justice, evicting Derek and Elise, and hinted at a new purpose for the house, woven into my maternal legacy. I felt liberated, but the weight of Derek's album-shredding cruelty, "You're not our story," and his venomous, "You're worthless," lingered, a shadow on my victory. My phone rang, its jangle sharp in the stillness. Betty Washington's voice burst through, thick with gossip. "Renee, it's done," she said, her words tumbling. "The sheriff cleared Derek and Elise out this morning, slunk out, heads down, while neighbors watched." I exhaled, long and slow, my shoulders easing. "It's done," I echoed, my voice quiet, no joy in it, only a steady pulse of justice. Betty's tone softened. "Folks are talking, Renee. They're proud of you." I nodded, though she couldn't see, picturing the neighbors' porch lights, their murmurs a chorus of support. "Thanks, Betty," I said, hanging up, the coffee shop's aroma mingling with my tea's chamomile, a reminder of the community that held me up. I wandered to the living room, sunlight catching dust motes, the deed on the table a silent witness. The house, my house, had been my sanctuary, bought with nurses' shifts, my back bent from years of care. I'd gifted it to Derek, dreaming it'd anchor his family, but he'd torn that dream apart, his financial strain and Elise's pride turning my sacrifice to ash. I traced a photo frame, empty now, its pictures lost to Derek's rage. Walter stepped in, his work boots scuffing, his eyes soft with pride and guilt. "You're stronger than I ever knew," he said, his voice soft, heavy with regret for his career-driven absence, those years he left me to raise Derek and Alicia alone. I met his gaze, my heart steady. "I had to be," I said, a faint smile tugging my lips. He nodded, his hand grazing my shoulder, a quiet vow to stand with me now. I opened my phone, the screen glowing with notifications. My wedding post, shared years ago when I gave Derek the house, trended online. "Build wisely," I'd written, words now echoing across the internet. Comments flooded in. "Renee's a hero. She built that house," each one a stitch in the wound Derek's cruelty had left. I smiled, my chest lightening. "The world knows my name now," I murmured, the sunlight warm on my face. Justice isn't vengeance, I thought. It's truth breaking free. I set the phone down, my fingers brushing a crumpled daycare flyer I'd picked up, its bright colors catching my eye. Janelle Brooks's story was printed on it. A single mother escaping abuse, running a daycare for kids like her own. My breath caught, an idea sparking, the house's new purpose taking shape. Lorraine called, her voice crisp. "The eviction's legal, Renee," she said, her empathy, born from her own son's estrangement, a steady anchor. "You've won." I nodded, the deed beside me a testament to my fight. "My name's back on that deed," I said, my voice ringing, the climax of my reclamation solidifying my liberation. Betty's gossip, Walter's support, they wove a tapestry of community, amplifying my maternal love. Did I win a house or my whole life? The question glowed, answered by the peace settling in my bones. I stood, the flyer in hand, and grabbed my keys, drawn to see Janelle's daycare. As I drove, the coffee shop's aroma faded, replaced by the neighborhood's spring breeze. I parked near the daycare, its sign bright, and heard children's laughter spilling through an open window, a sound of hope that tugged my heart. The house was free, and so was I, ready to give it a new story. I planted a rose bush in the yard, giving my house to Janelle, and felt lighter than ever. Could giving away my past make me whole? Spring sunlight bathed the front yard of my old house, the suburban neighborhood alive with the hum of lawnmowers and the chirp of birds. I knelt in the soft earth, my hands cradling a rose bush, its roots damp and tangled, a symbol of growth from pain. The house, reclaimed through the deed's claws, stood quiet behind me, its brick walls once a canvas for my tears, now a vessel for redefined maternal love. Derek's album destruction and his cruel, "You're worthless," echoed faintly, but the eviction had freed this place, and me, for a new story. I pressed the soil down, my fingers steady, the rose's faint scent mingling with the breeze, whispering hope. "This house held my tears," I murmured, wiping sweat from my brow, "but now it'll hold hope." I stood, dusting my hands, the yard blooming with fresh roses I'd planted, each one a marker of my liberation. Maya's loyalty, her quiet strength at the potluck, had inspired this act, her love a thread connecting my past to this moment. I glanced at the house, its windows catching the light, and felt a weight lift, my heart ready to give what I'd fought to reclaim. The neighborhood's spring vitality, kids biking past, grounded me, a reminder of the community that had rallied behind me. I drove to Janelle's daycare, its colorful murals of stars and rainbows glowing under the sun, children's giggles spilling through open windows. Lorraine met me there, her smile warm, her briefcase left behind, her pride rooted in her own estrangement's lessons. Janelle stepped out, her hair tied back, her eyes wary but kind, a single mother who'd fled abuse to build a safe haven for her daughter, Kaylee. I held out the house keys, a folded note tucked beneath. Build gently, rise loudly. Janelle's hands trembled as she took them, her voice breaking. Renee, you're saving us, she said, tears falling. She shared her story, nights hiding from her ex, days scraping by for Kaylee's smile. This house means safety, she whispered. I nodded, my throat tight, her resilience mirroring mine, a maternal love forged in fire. It's yours now, I said, my voice soft but firm, the daycare's murals a vibrant backdrop to our bond. Kaylee ran out, her pigtails bouncing, and hugged me, her small arms fierce. You're the house hero, she chirped, her grin wide. She pressed a drawing into my hands, a crayon sketch of the house, roses blooming, captioned hero in wobbly letters. My eyes stung, the micro twist of her gift a spark of joy. I hugged her back, the giggles of other kids blending with the spring breeze, a chorus of hope. You make it a home, okay? I said, my smile steady. Janelle's hand rested on Kaylee's shoulder, their gratitude a mirror to my peace. Lorraine's nod, her eyes bright, sealed the moment, her encouragement a quiet echo of my journey. The daycare's warmth lingered as I stepped back, the house's keys now Janelle's, its legacy shifted to a new family. I'd fought Derek's betrayal, Elise's lies, and won, but this act, giving, freed me fully. This is my peace, I said, my voice ringing, the climax of my liberation washing over me like sunlight. Janelle's story, Maya's loyalty, they wove a tapestry of maternal love, connecting generations, proving resilience isn't just surviving, it's sowing new roots. The mural's colors, vivid and bold, symbolized the renewal I'd found, not in keeping, but in giving. I walked to my car, the drawing crinkling in my hand, Kaylee's laughter fading behind me. Is love what you keep or what you give away? The question glowed, answered by the lightness in my step. My phone buzzed, the screen lighting up with a text from Alicia. Mom, can I visit? I owe you an apology. My heart lifted, her remorse a bridge to mend, the daycare's hope carrying me forward. I cooked collard greens alone, but the silence felt like freedom, not loss. Had I finally found my place? The kitchen in my condo was alive with the savory scent of collard greens simmering in a heavy pot, their rich, earthy aroma mingling with the buttery warmth of cornbread baking in the oven. Spring sunlight streamed through the window, painting golden streaks across the hardwood floor, a quiet contrast to the suburban neighborhood outside, where kids laughed on bicycles and birds chirped in newly bloomed trees. I stirred the greens, the spoon clinking softly, my heart steady with a peace I hadn't felt in years. The rose bush I'd planted in Janelle's yard bloomed vivid in my mind, its petals a bridge from my past sacrifices to this tranquil present. I'd reclaimed my house, my name, and given it away, not out of defeat, but triumph. I was sovereign now, my self-worth, a flame that no one, not Derek, not Elise, could snuff out. I set the spoon down, my hands rough from years of hospital shifts, and moved to the counter where a new photo album lay, its pages fresh but sparse. I'd started it after Derek tore my old one apart, his cruel words, "You're not our story." Still a faint scar. I flipped to a picture of him at 10, his grin wide as he held a soccer ball, his eyes bright with dreams of gardens he'd promised to build me. My finger traced his face, a pang tightening my chest. I'd raised him through nights of fevers, days of homework, and years of double shifts, pouring my life into his future. But his betrayal, calling me a burden, shredding my memories, had severed our tie. I whispered, I did my part. My voice soft but firm, the greens bubbling behind me, their scent a tether to my roots. I mourned the boy he was, but I'd let go of the man who'd chosen Elise's pride over me. Boundaries, I thought, aren't just walls, they're freedom. The doorbell chimed, its ring sharp in the quiet, pulling me from memory. I wiped my hands on my apron and opened the door to find Alicia, my daughter, standing there, her scarf loose, her eyes glistening with tears. Her face, so like mine but softer, carried the weight of years we'd lost. "Mom," she said, her voice trembling, "I should have seen your strength. I was wrong about your absence." Her words hit like a wave, her guilt over my missed 16th birthday, when I worked to buy the house, spilling out. I stepped forward, my arms opening, and we hugged, her tears damp against my cheek. "You were working for us," she whispered, her breath hitching. "I was too young to understand." I held her tight, my throat tight, the cornbread's warmth wrapping us like a quilt. "You're here now, baby," I said, my voice steady, my heart swelling with reconciliation. Alicia's remorse, once a wedge, now built a bridge, her presence a testament to love's endurance. We sat at the kitchen table, the green steam curling between us, the sunlight catching Alicia's eyes as she spoke. "I saw Derek's email," she said, her fingers twisting her scarf. "He knew about the deed's clause, Mom. He never cared." Her words stung, but they weren't a surprise. Derek's pride, fueled by his failing firm and Elise's status chasing, had blinded him. I nodded, my jaw tight, but peace held me steady. "He made his choice," I said, my voice low. Alicia's hand reached for mine, her touch warm. "I choose you," she said, her smile small but real. I squeezed her hand, the collard green's rich scent grounding us, a symbol of the family I was redefining, not with Derek's absence, but with Alicia's return. Maya burst through the door, her sneakers squeaking, her braids bouncing as she grinned. "Grandma!" she called, throwing her arms around me, her warmth a spark of joy. "I'll visit every summer, I promise." Her loyalty, rooted in the hospital stories I'd told her, tales of patients I'd soothed, lives I'd touched, shone like a beacon. I ruffled her hair, laughing, my heart lighter than it'd been in months. "You better, sweet girl," I said, my voice playful, the cornbread cooling on the counter, its golden crust a nod to our shared roots. Maya's promise bridged generations, her love a thread tying my past to a future I could shape. I glanced at Alicia, her smile mirroring mine, our bond mending in the kitchen's warmth. As we talked, I moved to the counter, slicing the cornbread, its crumbs scattering like memories I'd pieced back together. My hand brushed a cookbook, and a folded letter slipped out, Alicia's handwriting neat and careful. I unfolded it, my breath catching. A micro twist of love, written weeks ago, apologizing for her distance, confessing she'd been too ashamed to face me sooner. "I was wrong, Mom," it read. "To think your work meant you didn't love me." My eyes stung, the letter a hidden spark of her remorse, now spoken aloud in our embrace. I tucked it into my pocket, my smile steady, the green, savory hum filling the air. "You're my strength too," I told Alicia, my voice soft, the moment a quiet celebration of our healing. Later, I walked through the neighborhood, the spring sunlight glinting off mailboxes, the air alive with blooming jasmine. I passed Janelle's house, my house once, where Kaylee played in the yard, her pigtails bouncing as she chased a butterfly. She waved, her grin wide, calling, "House hero!" I waved back, my heart lifting, Janelle's gratitude a mirror to my peace. Her escape from abuse, her fight for Kaylee echoed my own resilience, a maternal love that built homes from pain. The rose bush I'd planted stood proud, its petals vivid, a symbol of growth I'd sown. I paused, the grass soft under my feet, and whispered a prayer. Boundaries are holy. My peace was complete, a foundation built not on what I kept, but what I gave. Love, strength, a home for Janelle and Kaylee. Back at my condo, I set the table, the collard greens and cornbread steaming, their scents a hymn to my roots. Alicia and Maya stayed, their laughter filling the space, a new family woven from choice, not obligation. Janelle and Kaylee's gratitude, Alicia's reconciliation, Maya's loyalty, They were my legacy, not Derek's betrayal. I'd severed ties with him, his absence a quiet ache, but I was whole. I'm my own foundation now, I said, my voice ringing in the kitchen, the resolution of my liberation a steady glow. Did I lose a son or find myself? The question answered itself in the sunlight, the green's warmth a testament to my resilience. As I sat ready to eat, my phone buzzed, a faint hum on the counter. I glanced at it, expecting nothing, but a new message waited, its sender unknown, stirring a spark of curiosity. As I walked past Janelle's house, Kaylee's laughter echoing in the spring air, I felt a peace that had once seemed impossible. My journey began with hurt, with Derek's cruel words and Elise's lies stripping away my name. But through the deed's claws and the support of Alicia, Maya, and my community, I reclaimed my worth and gave the house a new life. In life, family bonds can fray, but love, when rooted in respect, can mend or redefine what family means. Forgiving doesn't always mean reconciling. Sometimes it's setting boundaries to protect your heart. Like collard greens simmered slow, love grows richer with time if we nurture it with honesty. If this story touched you, please share your own in the comments. I'd love to hear how you found your foundation. Your voice matters, and together we can keep these stories alive.